I already know. I know, guys. Guys, I know what you're gonna say. I get it. I understand. You're disappointed. You're disappointed. Reese, no, not you too. How could? How could you? I thought you were better. I thought you seem so enlightened, Reese. I know. I know. I know. I do. I'm not, and that's what you get for believing in someone. Hi, I'm Reese, and today I wanna talk about something that I've honestly not been looking forward to making a video about, but I knew eventually I would have to. I used to be part of a podcast. It was a podcast that was made by me and my friend Petros, and it was called The Gunches. The idea for a podcast was something that we had been thinking about doing for a while, for a long time. Well, I mean, who hasn't? Who hasn't thought about podcasts? What original idea? A podcast. I know. Listen, I get it. Listen, I know. And I'm saying this as a person who started a YouTube channel. So, I mean, listen, obviously, I'm not an original person. And I have to live with that. But we wanted to do a podcast. And in its origin, it was a pure idea. In its origin, it was something that we wanted it to be different. We wanted it to talk about different things, not just the regular things. Obviously things that we like, but we wanted to have it focus more around where we were in our lives at the time, early 20 somethings, and how we grow and you get to be on the podcast and grow with us and as we turn into the people we want to be, stuff like that. It was something I wanted to show my kids, be like, look, your father was an idiot. Oh, he was dumb, but I ain't know how dumb I was gonna get. We saved, man. We saved money. We did research. We're like, okay, how do we start? What type of podcast do we want to do? Is it gonna be in person, over Zoom? Is it gonna be through? Are we gonna record straight into a computer? Are we gonna get external? And we talked about it all. We talked about so many different things. The idea was pure. It was a pure idea. It was something that was just it was full of life. It was something that we knew was special, and we just felt it. We're like, this is the thing. There was no negativity behind it. It was like, this is gonna be the thing. This is what we talk about. We're gonna be talking about uplifting things that make people feel better, so they can escape for a little bit. We can escape for a little bit because life sucks sometimes. Sometimes it just sucks, and that is what it is. But to truly get to how the podcast formed, I have to back it up a little bit. In November of 2020, my mother abandoned my family. It was in the middle of the pandemic. My dad is immunocompromised. It was a lot. So he hadn't been able to work for a while, but he was getting better, but he just wasn't there yet. But she left and left my family in shambles. Then what happened was therapy. During therapy, the funniest thing happened. I got over her leaving in a real way. And I don't mean that in the sense of like here, she was my mom. There's obviously things I need to sort out, but the brunt of it, the big thing, the big trauma that happened to me, I worked through it. But because I was able to get through the the brunt of it, the trauma of it faster, I was able to talk to my therapist about other things. When you've talked about the same thing over and over again, and you've talked about every aspect of the same thing over and over again, you want to talk about something else. So I wanted to talk about me, my life, where I was going, things that I needed to do, things I wanted to do, and what that looks like for me. What can I do to be better? Like what type of life do I want to lead? And I realized I had a lot of things to say. I realized there was a lot of things that I wanted to talk about, but I had never done it before because of the way I was raised, where if you weren't the loudest, then you weren't heard. Or even if you talked about something, you get ignored if no one cares. So I found out I was more messed up than I thought I was. It was also a weird thing that happened because of my mom leaving. I actually felt more free than I ever did before. Almost like there was a cap pulled off, like the limiter was released. Like I could do whatever, and there's be no accountability on my part. Who cares? No one's gonna look at me strange because now I can do whatever. So I did whatever, and that whatever was a podcast. So me and Petros, we start the podcast. We get all the equipment. We go into my garage and we set up a table, and we're under this interrogation light. And I set up the recorder, set up the mics, and we podcast. And I really enjoyed it. Man, I really did enjoy it. I really enjoyed sitting there and talking about the things that I wanted to talk about. The only problem was that I was talking out of hurt. I was talking out of pain. I was talking out of things that I hadn't dealt with yet. And so because of that, the podcast started turning. I started allowing different things. I started saying different things. Things that I look back at and I'm like, why? You know when it's 3 a.m. and you're in your bed and then like a cringy memory from like 5th grade pops in your brain and you physically like curl into yourself and try to just disappear into the fabric of the universe. Like I'm gonna have that, but everybody could listen to it. God, it's like, what? Like, why? Why did I? Bleh. You know what's the worst part about this? I can't even say it was like, oh, I was young. It was so long ago. It wasn't that long ago. Like the last episode was in what? 2021? It's 2022. Like. And so a lot of you guys are probably asking questions like, Reese, if you felt this way, you had all these feelings about your own podcast, why didn't you just stop or change it or blah, 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 blah. Listen, I get it. I understand what you're saying. The thing is, for me, it was my baby. Man, I loved that thing. I put my all into that thing. See, Petros didn't know how to do any of the technical stuff. So I did all the technical stuff, right? Whether it was setting up mics or whether it was making sure the levels were good, whether it was editing afterwards, whether it was uploading, that was me. I did that. So it was my baby from the beginning to the end, I felt like. I loved the thing. And I loved it so much that even when it started going bad and I could feel the change, I wasn't gonna stop it. I remember just sitting and editing episodes and listening to us talk and just feeling horrible. But telling myself it's for content. It's cool. Hey, Reese, this is just who you are at the moment. This is just who you are. But never acknowledging it's not who I wanted to be. I wanted it to be better. And for me, I was cool for letting it be what it was going to be, as long as it didn't affect any other aspects of my life. Can you guess what happened? My then girlfriend, now fiance. I know, y'all. I did it. I locked it down. I know it is. She comes to me one day and she tells me she got a text from a friend first. And in it, she shows me the text, and her friend is kind of going off a little bit about the podcast, talking about how not productive, it's toxic, it's whatever, da 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 da, yeah. All these things that I knew, but I didn't want to acknowledge. And so, what does a man do about a thing where he doesn't want to acknowledge that it's true? Yeah, you guessed it. He gets defensive. This is why I got defensive. You know, I was like, man, f her, da da da. Man, if she wanna whatever, then that's her own prerogative. But don't come, texting my girl about it, da 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 da, whatever. Blah. Nonsense I'm spewing. But it hit me really deep. It hit me really deep, and I would go to night fuming thinking about it, being like, how could she think that it's not creative? How could she say all those things about it? Da, da, da. Like fuming, going to sleep fuming about it. And then one day, I was working. But as I work, I have the ability of it's a pretty solitary job, so I'm able to call people as I work. So I'm working, so I call my friend. More than a friend, he's like a brother to me. And we're talking, we catch up on things, movies, TV shows, superhero stuff, things, things we're interested in, whatever it is. And so I was, I was angry about this, so I kind of start going into it. I start telling him about it. I go, yeah, man, she said this and this and that, whatever. And he was like, and I was like, bro, I'm just pissed about the way she go about it. Like, if you got a problem with me, then come to me and talk to me about it. Da, da, da. Go into my girl or some punk, whatever. And so I'm going off, da da da, whatever, talking about it. And he's quiet. He's responsive. Like, he's telling me, like, yeah, sure. And he even says, like, yeah, maybe she went about it the wrong way. Yeah, but I'm still going off. Yeah, man. And I start saying to him, I go, yeah, bro, I really appreciate it. Like, I know, it's our podcast isn't your cup of tea, but I appreciate you not never coming after me about it, whatever. He starts talking to me, where he was like, yeah, no, it's not. He was like, because you guys are very entertaining. Like, I can't deny that. It's just as your friend, as your brother, it's hard for me to hear. I go, what you mean? He's just so nasty. It's so much. It's too much. Like, it's not. It's more of what you guys than what you guys normally do. How you normally talk. He was like, yeah, it's hard for me to listen to. And that stuck in my brain. That stuck in my brain. Fast forward a few days. It wasn't even that long. It was only a few days. Me and Petros, we recorded another podcast. And in it, we start talking about people who don't like our podcast. And so now this is getting to people in our personal lives, people that we see that I have to interact with, that maybe he has to interact with, whatever. I'm talking about. I'm like, God, just thinking about it. But in the podcast, we start talking about people. We don't say any names, but I think I left enough details out there where the person would know who they are. And I'm like, yeah, if you don't like our podcast, then screw you. I ain't say screw you, obviously. So we finished the podcast, I'm feeling pumped, feeling amped. Yeah, that's when the testosterone starts just flowing. You just, yeah, yeah, I'm that dude. Yeah. And the next day, I was hanging out with my girl, and I told her, I was like, listen, I'm just letting you know, in the podcast, I said some things. The person may know who it is. Da da da. And in it, she had this look on her face that just broke my heart. Where she just looked so defeated. She just goes, okay, whatever happens, I'll deal with it. Bro, that looking back on that hurts. Looking back on that I was so cold. I was so cut off emotionally that she was silently pleading with me, and I was gonna ignore it. That night, Petros calls me, and he wants to go for a walk. We live, relatively close to each other, so he wanted to go for a walk. So I meet up with him, head for a walk. He's complaining about, whatever, and we're walking. I look up at the sky, and I start feeling frustrated. And I say to him, I just say, man, I'm pissed. And he goes, why? And I go, I feel like I'm not hearing from God. I feel like no matter what I say, what I do, I don't hear from him. And so if I don't hear from him, why should I try? I had fell back into some vices that I had struggled with in the past. And so I fell back into it. And I was like, and I don't care. I said that. I was like, I don't care that I fell back. I don't care that I relapsed. I was like, because nobody cares about me. Who cares about me? I'm nothing. Who cares? I go, I don't even care about me. Just like that. I had spoken a lie out that I had been believing for a long time. So I start breaking down. I start crying. I start breaking down. And I don't do that often. It's not a normal thing for me. I don't cry. But like my body literally rejected something that I said, a lie that I spouted, that I didn't care about myself, that I didn't matter. That's just not true. My friend, my brother, Petros, he comes up to me, hugs me, and he goes, bro, everything's gonna be okay. I love you. I care for you. So what do we need to do? And right there, I knew. It was like that one thing unlocked so many answers for me where I just knew. I look at him and I go, we need to stop the podcast immediately. We've been working off of trying to live with no accountability, and it's not going to work. He goes, okay. God bless his heart, because he at the time he didn't understand. He didn't understand me. He was like, I guess, sure, whatever you need. But nah, that's my boy. That's my brother. He's like, okay. So I went home that night, got on my laptop, and this was before I uploaded the latest recording. And I got the recording, and I deleted it. And I deleted the recording. So the episode that my girl was dreading never aired. Now some of y'all gonna be like, Reese, why are you telling us this? We don't really care. We didn't ask for your backstory. And to that I would say, that's fair. I'm saying this kind of for myself, though. I'm putting it out there. Accountability for myself that I know. I know what I did. You guys don't have to come to me and be like, oh, we found this problematic. I know I did. And I have more of an issue with it than you ever will. Because I said it. I have to deal with that. And I have access to all the accounts. I could delete them whenever I want, but I kept them up for that reason. Accountability. I made the choice. I made the choice of saying what I said. And I can't take that back. As much as I would love to delete it, I'm not going to, because I made that choice. And so I have to live with that. So, if anybody is watching this and they found it by accident, maybe you came to the channel because of it. I don't know how you made the correlation. I don't link anything between these two. But if you did somehow, I am sorry. I don't regret that I started a podcast. I just regret what it became into. I wanted it to be better. I wanted it to be something else. And who knows? Maybe one day it will be. I do hope for a day that maybe one day I could bring it back, but it'd be different. It'd be better. It'd be something I actually can be proud of. Kind of like this channel. Like this channel is something that we created and it's something I'm proud of. Something I like doing. I feel like it gives me a reason to keep going. A purpose. You know? It's not like I'm the biggest anything, you know, but I wouldn't change it for the world. I really wouldn't. I don't regret the podcast. Because without the podcast, I don't think this channel would happen. Or at least the way it happened. Because of the podcast, I know the difference between doing something just because I really want to do it and doing something I'm proud of. And this channel, I'm proud of. I'm really proud of it. It's pure. All the way through. Whether you agree with it, you disagree with it, it doesn't matter. This is me. And it also represents the person I want to be. The person I'm aiming to become. I'm not there yet, but I'm aiming to become him. And so, if for nothing else, I am grateful to that podcast. Well, guys, that's it. That's it. I don't know. It kind of feels bad to do a like, comment, subscribe on this video. So I guess I'm not gonna do it now. Anyway, I appreciate y'all watching. I hope to see you guys next time.
They're thinking in their mind, oh, what a dangerous game. Just a moment with the wrong thought.